Good morning. Let's have a circuit like this, and we are asked to calculate the equivalent resistance. Once we calculated the equivalent resistance, we are going to use these equivalent resistance to calculate the currents in all the branches. We are going to use the current divider, which is a powerful tool to calculate the currents, and we are going to do a delta Y transformation because we don't see any parallel and series resistors here, so we have to do two transformations. The first, we can do this one, or this one and this one, and I think it's enough to simplify this circuit. First thing to do, I'll draw the circuit again. We have R5, this is R4, and R6. So the first transformation is this one. We'll transform it into a Y circuit. So let's call this one R4 prime, this one R6 prime, and R5 prime. We can calculate these values. This transformation R4 prime is equal to R5 R6 times the sum of the three, divided by the sum of the three, R4 plus R5 plus R6. Same thing for R5 prime. R5 prime is R4 times R6 over the sum of the three. R6 prime is R4 times R5 over the sum of the three resistances. Okay, here calculator I need, it's there. So this one is 10 times 6 over the sum of the three, it's 40, so it's 60 over 40, it's 1.5 ohms. This is 1.5. Here we have 240 over 40, so this is 6 ohms, or 5 prime is 6 ohms, and here R4, R5, 6 times 24 over 40, means it's 4 and 5 over 40, 6 times 24 over 40. This is 3.6 ohms. This is 3.6 ohms. Okay, we have calculated, I'll write down these values. R4 prime is equal to 1.5 ohms, and R5 prime is equal to 6 ohms. R6 prime is equal to 3.6 ohms. Let's go to the second triangle, delta, which is R9, R8, and R10. We'll transform it into star. Here we have prime, R10 prime, and R9 prime. R8 prime is equal to R9, R10 over R8 plus R9 plus R10. R9 prime is equal to R8 times R10 over the sum of the three R. R10 prime is equal to 10 prime is equal to 8 times R9 over the 3 R's. So it means here we have 9 and 10, 6 times 3 over the sum of the 3. Sum of the 3 is 18. So it is 1 ohm here, 1 ohm, 10 over 18 here, 8 and 10, 8 and 10, 27 over 18, and here 8 times 9, 9 times 6. Okay, we have here 27 divided by 18. This is 1.5 ohms, 1.5 ohms, and here we have 9 times 6 over 18. This is 3 ohms. So we have 1.5 and 3 ohms. Okay, we'll go back now to our original circuit, and we try here. So we have to write this R8 prime is equal to 1 ohm, R9 prime is equal to 1.5 point, R10 prime is equal to 3 ohms. Okay, let's go to this circuit. I have to have the documents. Well, here I have the circuit now, the new circuit after the transformations, and we need now to calculate. Forget about this for the moment, because here it's for the calculation of the currents. Let's call this one I1, I2, I6 prime, R5 prime, R4 prime. So let's calculate first. Let's calculate the equivalent resistance of this circuit. So now it's very clear. We have these three that are in series, R4 prime plus R9 prime plus R7 are in parallel with these two, R5 prime plus R10 prime. They are in series with these and these, plus R6 prime and R8 prime. And these, all of them, are in parallel with R2 and later in series with these two, plus R1 plus R3. So we can now calculate the equivalent resistance. Let's call this one, this is the first step, second step, third step, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. So we'll try to use, for calculation of the currents later, we're going to use this, if we call it R1, 2 prime, this we will call it R2, 2 prime, this we'll call it for 2 prime. This we'll call it, this is R2, or this together will be R5 2 prime, and this is R6, which is the equivalent resistance. Let's calculate the first R1 2 prime. This is R4 prime plus R9 prime plus R7, and this is 1.5 plus 6 plus 1.5, and this is equal to 9 ohms. R2 second, or 2 prime, R5 prime plus R10 prime, and this is equal to 6 plus 3, this is 9 ohms. Now I forgot about this is R3 2 prime, R3 2 prime, it's R1 2 prime in parallel with R2 prime, and this is 4 point, it's 9 times 9 over 18, and it's 4.5 ohms. Now we calculate R4 2 prime, R3 2 prime plus R6 prime plus R8 prime, 4.5 plus R6 prime, which is 3.6 plus 1, and this is will give us 9.1 ohms. Now the R5 2 prime, which is R4 2 prime in parallel with R2, it's 9.1 times 7.8 over the sum of the two, and this will give us 4.2 ohms, and R equivalent, it's R5 2 prime plus R1 plus R2 R3 equal 4.2 plus 2.8 plus 3, this is 10 ohms. From here we can calculate I1 is current, which is equal to V over RE. The voltage is 20 volt over 10 ohms, this is 2 amps. Okay, now we are going to use the current divider. I wrote all these resistances that we need. We have this R2 2 prime that is in parallel with R1 2 prime, and which will help us to calculate using the current divider the current flowing here and here, knowing this current. And R4 2 prime in parallel with R2 will give us I2 and I6 prime, so that we can calculate these currents. So I will tell you now how to use the current divider to calculate these currents. If you remember, I1 is 2 ampere. I will write it here, 2 amps. Let's calculate now. Let's use the current divider method. Remember that if we have two resistors in parallel, I2 and I1, and this is R1 and R2, we can calculate I1 in function of this current. It's R2 over R2 plus R1 times the main current, and I2 is R1 over R1 plus R2 times I. So it means that we can use this method to calculate. Here we have I1, we have R2, and we whole resistance here that is in parallel with this. This is R4 2 prime. So we can calculate I2, and this current we called it I6 prime. I can calculate I2 is equal to R4 2 primes over R2 plus R4 2 prime times I1, and I6 prime I can calculate it with this equation. R4 2 primes times I1, it was that this current will be R4 2 prime, we have calculated 9.1 over 9.1, and R2 is 7.8 times 2 amps we have calculated. Here it's 7.8 over 7.8 plus 9.1 times 2. I2 is equal to 1.077 amp, and this one 0.923 amps. We have calculated I2 and I6 prime. Okay, now we can go knowing this current I6 prime, we can calculate I5 prime and I4 prime. This is, we call it R2 prime, and this we call it R1 2 prime. So we can calculate I5 prime is equal to R1 2 prime over R1 2 prime plus R2 2 prime times the current flowing here, I6 prime, and here I4 prime is equal to R2 prime over R2 prime plus R1 prime times I1 6, this one I6 prime, and this is R1 prime, this is 9 over 9 plus 9, and 0.923, and the same thing here. It means we have half of the current flowing in each of the branches. So we can write the result. I5 prime is equal to half this current, 0.46115 amp, and I6 prime is equal to 0.4615 amps. We have calculated these currents that flow. Now we have to go to the original circuit to calculate I5, I4, I6, I8, I9 and I10. Remember that I7 is equal to I4 prime, which we have calculated. So we'll take a break now, and I come back in the next film to calculate these